Hey everybody, Ryan here at eTrailer. Today on our 2018 Subaru Outback Wagon, we're going to be showing you how to install the etrailer.com Class 3 trailer hitch receiver. But before we do that, why don't we check it out and make sure that this is the right hitch for you. When it comes to these Subarus, having a hitch on the back of them really makes sense. You know, people use these to do a ton of different things, whether it be pulling a camper around or a regular trailer, you know, using accessories like a bike rack or a cargo carrier. Having a hitch back here is really going to open up your opportunities on what you can do with your Outback. So it really does look right at home. Now, one of the things with this one is it is going to be visible. You know, you are going to be able to see the cross tube here, but honestly, it sits up nice and tight against the bottom of our bumper. And if you ask me, it doesn't look out of place at all. And you know, I think also what kind of helps with that is the finish of it. So it has this matte black type finish, and to me it looks, you know, pretty modern, and really does do a pretty good job of actually blending in and kind of matching the plastic here on the bottom of our bumper. I do want to mention a lot of people like to use bike racks and other types of folding accessories with their Subaru, and this hitch will work out really well for those. And I say that because it's going to give us some really good bumper clearance. All right, so the end of the receiver tube is going to be pretty much flush with our back bumper. And what that's going to allow us to do is give us that space that we need to actually take those folding accessories, put them upright, and not have to worry about them hitting the back of our Subaru. We do get some people asking if the hitch will work with different types of submodels of the Outback. For example, ones that have single exhaust or dual exhaust and everything else. And this hitch is designed to work with all of them. So regardless of what submodel you have, you know, you're going to be in good shape. This is going to work with it. With that said, since this is a Class 3 hitch, it is going to give us that 2-inch by 2-inch receiver tube opening. Super common size, ton of different accessories will work with it. At the end here, we're going to have a reinforced collar for some extra support, and it is going to use that 5/8 pin and clip. Now keep in mind, pin and clip doesn't come included. If you need one, not a huge deal. You can always grab it right here at eTrailer. The safety chain openings are going to be a plate style, and although the holes aren't huge, they should provide us with enough space to use just about any size hook that we might have. As far as the hitch's weight capacities go, it's going to have a 600-pound maximum gross tongue weight rating. And that's going to be the amount of weight that is pushing down on the hitch. So pretty high number, should be able to use just about any size bike rack or cargo carrier that you'd want to, for example. As far as the hitch's maximum gross trailer weight rating goes, that's going to be 4,000 pounds. And that's going to be the amount of weight that is pulling on the hitch. So it is the weight of your trailer plus anything that you might have on it. Do always like to recommend, though, it's never a bad idea just to check with your Subaru's owner's manual. That way you can make sure your Outback can pull that much weight safely. And with that said, if you are pulling a trailer, you are going to want the lights to work on it. You know, that way people around you know what's going on, and you'll be safe and legal. And to accomplish that, you can always grab some trailer wire. Now let's go ahead and just grab a couple of measurements. Since a ball mount does not come with the hitch, if you want to do some towing, we're going to have to figure out which one to get. So to do that, we can go from the ground to the top inside edge of the receiver tube opening, and that's going to measure right at about 16 inches. So chances are pretty good you'll be able to use a ball mount that just has a straight shank, or maybe one that even has a slight rise in it. If we go from the center of the hitch pin hole to the edge of our rear bumper, that's going to be about 2.5 inches. We kind of talked about this earlier, but you can use that measurement to figure out exactly if any of those folding accessories can be stored upright without contacting the back of your Subaru. So when it comes down to it, a nice hitch, you know, it's going to get the job done, and I think it looks pretty decent. Now there are quite a few other hitches available for the Outback, and they're all pretty nice. It's really just going to depend on what you're looking for. You know, if you're looking for one that it's a little more hidden, one where you can't see this, I totally understand that. There's a couple that I like. One of them is the Kurt, as well as the Eco Hitch. Those are probably my two favorite as far as the hidden type ones go. Well, with that said, you know, as far as getting this hitch installed, it's really not super complicated by any means, but there is a couple of tools that you may or may not have laying around. So one of them, you know, since you have to enlarge a hole, you're going to need some type of grinding bit. You are going to have to drill a couple holes as well, and trim up a little piece of metal, one of your exhaust heat shields. So I'll tell you what type of tools I use and which ones you can use. If you have them, great. If not, you may want to ask a friend, mechanic friend, maybe if they got one you can borrow, or maybe even think about just picking them up. So with all that said though, why don't we go ahead, pull into the garage and put the hitch on together now. To begin our installation, we're going to be underneath the back of our Subaru, and first thing we need to do is lower our exhaust down some to give us that space that we need to work. So before we actually get to that, what we want to do is take a strap and just run it from side to side. That way we can kind of support the exhaust and control how far and how fast we let it come down. We're going to have a total of 3 rubber isolator hangers that we need to take off. One of them will be right here. And to get these off, you can spray them down with some soapy water, some penetrating oil to help make it a little easier. You can take a pry bar or even a big screwdriver. And you're simply just going to pry one end of that hanger off, like so. One of the other hangers will be right here on this side of the muffler. And we can use that same technique to get it removed as well. And last but not least, we have one more hanger here towards the center. If you follow the exhaust up, once we get this one pried off, what we're able to do is loosen up our strap and let that exhaust come down a little ways. Now we can get our heat shield removed. So this is going to be held in place by 4 10mm bolts like this one here. So pretty much one in each corner. So we'll grab our 10mm socket. We'll get all these pulled out. Once we have them all removed, we can simply remove our heat shield and set it to the side for now. Now if you move to our frame rail, we need to remove these 2 rubber plugs. And I want to mention from this point on, anything we do to this side of the vehicle, we're also going to do to the other side, because it'll be set up the same way. But to get these out, you can just take a trim tool or a screwdriver, whatever you got, and just pop them out. And then what we're going to need to do is enlarge this hole here closest to the front of our vehicle. The reason that we're going to need to enlarge this hole is that way we can get our hardware actually inside of the frame rail. And the hardware is going to be what actually secures the hitch. So clearly that's not going to fit inside of there. And so we're going to have to make this just big enough that we can actually get this stuff inside of there. So you have a couple of options. I've used a step type drill bit in the past. It seemed to work okay. You can use a hand file. If you have some type of power tool, that's going to be ideal. We need to enlarge this quite a bit, so a hand file might take you a little bit of time, but can be done. What I found that works the best is a tool like this. It's just a grinding bit. And so I'm going to open this up, and every now and again just check, see if our hardware is close or if it'll fit, and just continue to enlarge it until it'll pass through there. So now that the hole is large enough, we can go ahead and get our hardware ready to get installed inside of the frame. So what we're gonna do is take the fish wire, you're gonna take the coiled end of it, feed it through this hole here closest to the back of our car, and you're gonna work that fish wire forward towards that hole that we enlarged. We're trying to get it to drop out. Sometimes you might get lucky and it fall right out. Other times you might have to kind of help assist it. Well, once it's hanging out, you can take your spacer block, put that over the coiled end, take your carriage bolt, and thread that on. You can feed the hardware up. And pull down on our fish wire until we get the bolt to drop through like that. What I suggest doing now, since we have some bare metal exposed from enlarging that hole, just to take some paint, put a light coating over it. That way it'll help protect it from rust. And what we'll do is give that a few minutes to dry, come back and get our hitch ready to be put up in place. Now with an extra set of hands, we can take our hitch and raise it into position. I'm going to take our pull wire and drop it through this hole. We're going to go all the way up. And carefully remove your fish wire. Try not to destroy it because we are going to have to reuse it. Once you're holding it up, you're going to take this flange nut and get it started hand tight. So with those two nuts started and hand tight, we need to come back with a 19mm socket and snug them down. Now what we need to do is use our hitch as a template. So this hole here, close to the front of our vehicle, we're going to take a drill bit and drill a hole. That way we can have another attachment point, get our hardware in there. So go ahead and drill that out. Now that our hole is drilled, we can take our fish wire and run it through. Just kind of a trick here. What I like to do is kind of line it up, put a bend in it. That'll make it a little easier. We'll feed that coil in through. And grab a hold of it. And just like the other one, take our spacer block and our carriage bolt. Right through. And once we have it dropped down, again, we'll take our flange nut and just kind of a pointer as well. If you're having a hard time getting this started because the bolt wants to push back up, you can always just apply a little bit of side pressure to the bolt with your finger. That'll make it a little easier. And once it's hand tight, come back and snug it down. At this point, you need to make sure and come back with a torque wrench and tighten down all the hardware to the amount specified in the instructions. If you don't have a torque wrench, you can grab one here at eTrailer, or a lot of times you go to your local auto parts stores, they'll have one there available to rent. Now we can come back to our heat shield. We are going to have to trim a little bit of it off so it'll clear the hitch. There's a diagram and the instructions you can follow. This being relatively thin metal, I'm just going to use a pair of tin snips to get this cut out. With our heat shield trimmed, go ahead and reinstall it the opposite way that we removed it. With one exception, we're only going to be using 3 of the 4 bolts because our hitch is covering the 4th one. Not a big deal though. These 3 are going to be more than enough to keep this nice and tight and everything else. Now we can raise our exhaust, but kind of a quick pointer. If you happen to remove the hanger originally from this one, probably a good idea to pull it off and start it on this one because it's kind of tight, and trying to hold your muffler up and do that be a little tricky. So I feel like it'll be easier to get this one on first, and then you can go ahead and get everything raised into position here. Well, it looks like the way this hanger's set up, actually, we might have to do it kind of at the same time almost. So there we go. Seemed to work pretty good. Get that up and get the rest of them started. Now with the exhaust supporting itself, we'll go ahead and remove our strap. And that'll finish up our look at and our installation of the etrailer.com Class 3 trailer hitch receiver on our 2018 Subaru Outback Wagon.